And then the topics, they're mostly related to optimism, because that's what I've been mostly focused on. And I think it's a really big opportunity. I know there's been some interest in the community. So for one thing, we could just discuss more about optimism. I was working on a Telegram message to introduce optimism to the community, and I didn't wind up actually sharing it because I wasn't totally sure how to write it. Maybe I'll share it right after, but I figured it'd be best just to share it here. So yeah, so there's a bunch of links here too that you can find, where a lot of these were things I showed, just kind of just a high level overview of some links. And then I also wrote a little bit about optimism. It's one of the most exciting, or the RetroPGF, and their vision for funding public goods. And as far as I'm aware, this is the largest retroactive public goods funding system in the world. Basically, there's this system called RetroPGF, where right now there's about 200 what they call badge holders or citizens who can vote on different projects to allocate funding for. They're allocating 30 million OP in this round of RetroPGF. It's the third round, and that's about 250 times more funding than is available in the next season of Pomelo, which is offering about $150,000. The OP token, it's currently worth, like, in terms of dollars, it can totally change, but it's worth like $1.30 per token. So that's like a $40 million in rewards that they're giving out, basically, with this new innovative system for funding public goods. And the idea here is retroactive public goods funding. So as opposed to making like a grant and having to write out a lot of different stuff, basically the way it works is that people do work kind of like how we do here at Eden Fractal. So it's very aligned. And then they say, what do you do over the past few months to help optimism? And then the people who are the badge holders, they have a really interesting, innovative system for selecting badge holders and houses and stuff like that they can explain more about. But basically, those people vote on how to allocate that funding. And so I created a proposal along with Tadas and Vlad and Rosemary over the past week that I introduced last week, or the past few weeks actually, and submitted it to start an Optimism Fractal that we're aiming to start in the coming weeks, so we can share what we're doing here with Eden Fractal and Optimism Fractal for the Optimism community. I think it'd be a great opportunity to help Optimism a lot, help Eden Fractal a lot, help everybody in the world with these amazing games. I think it's really like an ideal partnership, or I don't know if it's a partnership really, but it's an ideal kind of collaboration. And this RetroPGF is a really big opportunity. And so we put in the grant to kind of start that, but this is where the most funding is and where the most opportunity is. So I'm very happy to collaborate and discuss this more. This was just announced actually. Oh yeah, there's another topic here for when it was announced, like the dates have been announced. I was on the community call yesterday where they announced the dates, and this will be starting the grant the application's open in like a week or two, and then the actual voting will happen in November and December. So we have some time to prepare, and if you all are interested in collaborating to help out Optimism, then we have a couple months to really show how much we can help Optimism. There's also some more details that I worked on to generate. I worked with AI to help with some of this, and I also used some innovative methods to try to write this. And I'm working on an article to explain more about what is RetroPGF and what is retroactive public goods funding, and their mottos and ideas for impact equals profit and Esther's Phoenix. Some really inspiring ideas about how to fund public goods and reorient the way that society works, basically, so that when people create public goods that are helpful for everybody, they get funding. Because we've been doing so much that's helpful for public goods, we've had some difficulties raising funding, and we haven't really been funded other than just volunteer funding. But this Optimism community, it's very well funded. It's working at the cutting edge of innovation with Ethereum. We're working on building tools. Das and Vlad have I've been coordinating with them to help build tools so we can build with all Ethereum-based chains, and so it can make a massive impact and be super helpful, I think. So that's one of the topics. Another topic too, so I applied for the grant at the grant council. There's several different funding opportunities with Optimism. The RetroPGF is the biggest one by far, but they also have, I think actually on this page over here, the Intro to Optimism, there's a page here where it's called Optimism Collective Grants, where you can see they have like 4 different types of grants. There's Grants Council, Token House missions, Foundation missions, and the Partner Fund, in addition to the Retroactive PGF. And so the Grants Council is what I had applied for the Optimism Council, along with Das, Vlad, and Rosemary. And you can check out the Grants Council to learn more. They have an app called Charmbrush, which is like a Web3 version of Notion. It's really fascinating, and I think it'd be a really helpful tool for us in many ways. But you can learn about all the different grant programs here. And so I did the Builder Subcommittee, which I just put in like I heard about this like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I guess, right before we did it. And so I just worked really quickly with Rosemary and Vlad and just to get that out really quick. And I want to help the community as much as possible. You know, I think it's awesome to collaborate with everybody in the community, but there was just a quick deadline, so we put out something really quick with the builder subcommittee, and you can find my proposal here, or our proposal rather, in the cycle 15 preliminary. We won't hear back until probably the 23rd or maybe before then to see if it will be approved, but you can find it here for Optimism Fractal, and you can see the grant proposal that we made. I also shared the link as Jorge requested to learn more about the Optimism Fractal. There's quite a lot of details here. It's quite long and detailed. And then the academic grant, and I was meaning to share this. I heard about this a few days ago, and I've been meaning to share this with particularly Eric and Jorge Das. Anybody could apply for it really, but this is they have RFGs, which like requests for grants, where people can they make grants they want to reward, and this guy Jack is one of the reviewers, and he's the person who like created it basically, as far as I'm understanding. I've also been in contact with him a little bit because he's also reviewing the Optimism Fractal application, and he put out a grant, or the Optimism Grants Council put out a grant looking for optimism academics. I took some screenshots here. This is all included in the topics, but you can also find the links here too. Basically, and I wrote it kind of curated too. Like they're looking for writing serious academic studies on Web3 ecosystem with a focus on optimism and analyzing topics relevant to optimism, such as governance, and providing insight to how these topics can be improved for the benefit of optimism. My apologies. I meant to get this out sooner. I just heard about it, like, I think on Saturday or Sunday when or I think it was Saturday when I first heard about it, and I wanted to share it as soon as possible, but there is only like a day to apply. So maybe if Eric or Jorge or anybody else can share some of their existing research. There's lots of other opportunities for grants too. These grants are from 2 to 20 KOP, and I think you can name your number about what you want to request. So Eric or Jorge, if anybody else, I know Perry's written about governance a lot too, so anybody can apply for this, but I wanted to just share this opportunity with everybody.